Leaders from the Coalition of Reform and Democracy are in Naivasha to deliberate on their future. The three parties of the coalition, CORD, Wiper and Ford Kenya, are seeking to get their house in order before discussing CORD affairs. This comes only a day after MPs from the Wiper party lamented in Makindu that Kalonzo Musyoka was being shortchanged in the coalition. Among other things, the leaders will discuss the possibility of fronting a different candidate from Raila Odinga in the 2017 general election. Raila's ODM party has been accused of having an upper hand in the coalition and sidelining the other partners. Leaders have been warned against tolerating the radicalization on the youth at the coast. Elgeyo Marakwet Senator Kipchumba Murkomen has called on leaders to help the region's young people by assisting the government in efforts to stamp out the radicalization, especially at the coast. At the same time, Senate Majority Leader Kithure Kindiki has talked up devolution as a sure way of ensuring empowerment and equality at the counties, hence dealing with the issue of young youth unemployment. This happened just after President Uhuru Kenyatta also issued a stern warning against using places of worship to radicalize young people.
Yani mchana mpaka wanabeba bendera ya ile mambo mengine mbaya yanafanyika huko Somalia. Hili ni katabisha. Lakini suluhisho sio kupigana, suluhisho sio kurushiana maneno, suluhisho ni kuketi chini kama vile gavana alisema na kuhakikisha kwamba tumesikizana kama viongozi. Hatutaki viongozi wetu waingie pia katika ile mtego ya ule mtu adui kutoka nje ya nchi na kusema tuna support hapana.
Shida kama hizi za vijana wetu kuingia katika maovu na kuingia katika mambo ambayo yanahatarisha hata maisha yao na yanahatarisha jamii ni kwa sababu ya mambo ya zamani ambayo yamefanya sehemu zingine zibaki nyuma kimaendeleo.
Haitawezekana saa zote kusuluhisha mambo ya vijana au msisimko fulani kwa kutumia nguvu zaidi, kutumia polisi zaidi. Mambo mengi haya tunaweza kuyasuluhisha kwa dialogue.
Now, following an eviction notice issued by the KAJIADO County Government, traders operating along the county's main roads have vowed not to relocate until given alternative areas to do business. The county government wants to demolish all structures along the road reserves in Rongai, Kiserian, Ngong, Isinya, Kitengela, Sultan Hamoud, Loitoktok and KAJIADO town. This aims to create room for road expansion as part of the county development plan. However, traders say the 27th of February deadline will disrupt their businesses without giving them ample time to seek alternatives.
Watu wale wote wako kwa barabara wameambiwa wahame, lakini hawaambiwa mahali wanahamia. Hatuwezi sema tuko tayari kuhama posti, hata hatujui tunahama kuenda wapi. Juu tumeambiwa tuondoe tu kwa barabara, lakini hatujui tunahama tuende wapi.
Religious organizations have intensified awareness on the fight against female genital mutilation in Transmara. The organizations are increasing education to school children between the classes of 6 to 8. More than 400 children in the area have been trained on their rights and danger of female genital mutilation. As the world celebrates zero tolerance on FGM, children from rural schools remain highly at risk due to ignorance, culture practices and parental pressure. Christ the King Catholic Church, Free Pentecostal Fellowship and Loreto Sisters from Nairobi are leading the fight against FGM.
Ni kweli kwamba practice hii ya nafikiri wacha niseme ya kuchinja wasichana imekuwa ni desturi ambayo imepitwa na wakati. Nataka nishukuru kanisa kwa sababu kanisa imefanya kazi mkubwa sana.
Kama hii Transmara, vita ambayo tumekuwa nayo kubwa zaidi sisi kama kanisa ni mambo ya ukeketaji wa wasichana wadogo. Na hii tumekuwa tukifundisha wazazi mwezi wa 4, tunafundisha na wazazi mwezi wa 8, na ikifika Disemba tunaleta wasichana wote. Mwaka huu tuko na wasichana zaidi ya 200 ambao wametoka Transmara nzima, wamefika hapa na tumewafundisha jinsi ambavyo inapaswa.
Now, the government says it has fully stocked the national cereals and produce board depots with sufficient maize in the 23 drought-ravaged counties. The Ministry of Agriculture Principal Secretary Cecily Karaoke says the counties in arid and semi-arid areas of the country have been supplied with over 100,000 bags of the produce and are fully stocked to capacity. The PS revealed her ministry has for the last 2 weeks been working closely with the Special Programs Department in the Ministry of Devolution and Planning and the respective county governments to ensure people in drought-ravaged counties are assisted. She was speaking at Eldoret NCPB depot during the inspection of maize stocks for the Strategic Grain Reserve bought from farmers for the last 3 months. Acting NCPB Managing Director said the Eldoret depot had already purchased 69,000 bags of maize and had currently stocked 21,000 and 54,000 of CAN and DAP fertilizers respectively.
The ministry has moved in to make sure that the depots in these 23 counties are stocked, and I can confirm that in the 23 depots as we speak now, each one of them has sufficient maize stock. Now, the responsibility of moving the maize outside of the stocks becomes a shared responsibility between Devolution, Ministry of Devolution, through their relief program, special program for relief. And in the last 2 weeks, you have seen some heightened activity because they're already buying and distributing. The county governments as well are actively involved now because it is also their responsibility to move the food to the interior, to the deeper areas where we are not represented, where we are not present. So
And to some inspiring news, a global movement called Masterpiece, which aims to use music to bring various cultures together and to preach peace in countries that have been ravaged by conflict, has set base in Kenya. The movement is working with a group of local musicians, including Emi Koskei and Susan Owiyo, in preparation for the International Day of Peace. Sharon Mamanyi reports.
Day one at the Sarakasi Dome in Nairobi, and from within the magnificent dome, the sound of music. Sitting around the piano, celebrated musicians Emi Koskei and Susanna Owiyo tried to strike a harmony. Directed by Leonie Jansen from the Masterpiece movement. Day two, and they are still at it. They must get it right, for this is not just a harmony of voices, but a union of cultures and a sound of peace.
We are making these combinations of people with, they have their own huge background, and most of the time they're very famous in their own country, and we bring them together and ask them to make a song together for this special Masterpiece concert. This way we hope to show the people that it's possible. If you can sing together, you can live together, and you don't have time for fighting.
We need to get up every day, spread the message of peace, be part of the peace. At least it's better than sitting at home saying, I want peace. No, I'm actually doing something towards peace. I'm singing about it.
Together with a group of singers from various ethnic groups in Kenya, as well as a group of musicians from Somalia called Wayaha Kusup, the team will perform at a peace concert during the International Day of Peace to be held in the Netherlands in September. That will be one in a series of global peace concerts to be held in 60 countries on the same day.
I'm so excited and looking forward to, passing the message of peace through music and sharing platform with many, many other musicians across the globe. I mean, it's amazing.
I think everybody worldwide would love to be in a place where it's peaceful. You want to wake up in the morning and you can walk freely, and some of these has not been happening in our Africa, in some of our African countries.
For Wayaha Kusub, coming from a community that has seen intense conflict, this is a great mission.
Sisi tunaishi Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya, tunaishi Isli. Explosion ikitokelezea kama mambo ile story imefanyika hapa Westgate, hata sisi tumeona mbaya, lakini naye tunasema Kenya people na serikali wasione Wasomali wote ni Al-Shabaab ama Al-Qaeda. Kama sisi Wayaha tunaongea we anti Al-Shabaab.
On the World Peace Day, artists from all over the world will perform to fuel dialogue and celebrate diversity. Tickets for the various concerts cannot be purchased as they are an exclusive reward for individuals who have engaged in peace-building activities. Come September 21st on the International Day of Peace, these artists from various communities will share the same stage, promoting togetherness and using music as a language of peace. The message, put dialogue before judgment. Sharon Momanyi, KTN, Nairobi.
The United States has expressed concern over reported violations of a shaky ceasefire agreement between South Sudan's government and rebel forces and urged the removal of foreign fighters engaged in the conflict. Thousands of people have been killed and more than 500,000 have fled their homes since fighting erupted in December in a conflict that has brought oil-producing South Sudan to the brink of civil war. President Salva Kiir's government and rebels loyal to his fired deputy Riek Machar agreed to the ceasefire on January 23rd, but both sides have since accused each other of violations. Regional and world powers worry about the potential for a spillover of violence in an already volatile part of Africa. South Sudan declared independence from Sudan in 2011. The rebels have accused government SPLA forces and fighters from the Sudanese Justice and Equality Movement, a rebel group from north of the border, of raising Machar's hometown, massacring women and children as they fled the government. The government also accuses the rebels of flouting the ceasefire. Moving on, Congolese war crime suspect Bosco Ntaganda is to face the International Criminal Court tomorrow to determine whether he will be tried on charges ranging from murder, rape and sexual slavery to using child soldiers. The charges against Ntaganda go back quite some time, between 2002 and 2003. The then chief of military operations under the since convicted leader of the Union of Congolese Patriots, Thomas Lubanga, is said to have committed grave crimes against humanity on March 18, 2013. Ntaganda unexpectedly turned himself in at the U.S. Embassy in Rwanda, from where he was transferred to The Hague. The tribunal has issued a first warrant for his arrest in 2006. It was the end of a long career in Congo, which spanned numerous militia formations. Most recently, he's said to have exerted considerable power in the March 23rd movement, which brought parts of North Kivu province under its control in 2012. John Koech, a younger brother to the 5,000-meter maestro Isaiah Koech, won the inaugural Egerton cross-country 8-kilometer junior men's race held at the Egerton University grounds today. The younger Koech beat his close rival Isaac Langat, who won the third edition of Peace Marathon last year in the women's category. Keringet-based Joylene Chepngeno easily won the 6-kilometer junior women category by crossing the tape in 19 minutes 13.7 seconds, with Evelyn Chepkoech coming in at 19 minutes and 26.5 seconds. Sandra Chebet settled for third place in 19 minutes 33.3 seconds. The race aims to sensitize members of the public on the importance of conserving the environment. Now, top fry Nakuru broke into KCB Lions vaults to cement their position on top of the Kenya Cup Rugby League. Top Top Fry defeated their visitors 26-10 to record the 11th victory of the season. Strathmore Leos ran over Mwamba 29-0, while Mean Machine lost 19-24 to Impala. The biggest winners of the day were Homeboys, who whitewashed Kisumu 132 points 2-0 in Kisumu. KCB, who remained second, scared their horse by not for long before they were fired. Calvin Otieno and Michael Kombe scored a try each in the first half, and the Horse were leading 12-0 at halftime. More tries from Philippo War and Dalmas Chitui restricted the Lions to a tight corner, but they managed with 2 late tries for a 26-10 scoreline. In another match, Lunch Bar Queens routed Eldoret RFC 122-0, while Mombasa were beaten at home by Western Bull 8-48. In order to fight HIV and AIDS, in order to fight sexual abuse and exploitation, the United Nations is pushing for the decriminalization of prostitution. The trade has always been surrounded by stigma, preventing sex workers from seeking crucial medical services or legal services when they are abused by police or clients. But as Catherine Omonte reports, Kenya's conservative nature has complicated the debate on decriminalization of prostitution.
When most Kenyans arrive home and sit down for dinner, Liz is getting ready for work. Her job is highly dependent on her looks.
These people who are saying no, sex work is illegal, sex work is just what, they are our official clients.
If you were given an option to do anything else or to work as anyone else, would you change your job?
I won't. Maybe when I become old, that I'm not able to walk out. But as much on the other side, I might prefer to have a secondary income. But my primary is sex working.
She feels it's time commercial sex work is decriminalized.
We are human beings. We are their sisters. This is where we earn our living.
In late 2012, the United Nations Development Programme proposed the decriminalization of prostitution.
The notion behind decriminalization is to actually ensure that as we are developing and implementing programs, and especially HIV prevention programs towards sex workers, it ensures that it takes a rights-based approach.
When I was new in the industry of sex working, I met with this city council who really, in the side of tea room, I was calling the client there to sleep, but he just pushed me. And then he took me to a street where we had sex without a condom.
When one arm of the government, the Ministry of Health, provides condoms for sex work to combat HIV or to combat infectious diseases, as they are called, STIs and the sort, another arm of the government, which is the law enforcement, comes and takes away this particular items, condoms, from sex workers, then it's counterproductive to whatever public health approach.
The Penal Code Article 154 says any woman who knowingly lives on the earnings of prostitution or is proved to have exercised control, direction or influence over the movements of a prostitute in such a manner as to show that she is aiding her prostitution with any person is guilty of a felony. There is no clause, however, in the Constitution that explicitly outlaws commercial sex work. However, under the Bill of Rights, every Kenyan has a right to access to health care and has a right to be protected against any kind of abuse.
And actually, when sex workers are arrested, they're not arrested under that specific clause. Most of them will be arrested under the city bylaws and charged with loitering with intent to commit prostitution.
I have a case study of myself. I was arrested. It was 5 a.m. in the morning. I was on my way to home. Because in the morning, how can you define one is a sex worker? The street is busy. I was wearing well with my trouser. I was not naked. I was not wearing a short sleeve skirt. I was not wearing an open top. I was just walking home. And then they arrested me. And so I was taken to court. When the city askari was writing down our names, and they have to write before they hand it over to judge. So I saw him writing down, he has arrested at 1 a.m. Then the charges were read. Fulani charged with loitering with the intention of prostitution. Guilty or not guilty? Not guilty. We stood strong and they were shocked when we won the case.
The charge for loitering with the intention of prostitution will fetch a fine of 1,000 shillings if the woman pleads guilty.
And we have told them, do not plead guilty, do not bribe your way out, do not, let them prove. Let us go to the court and let them prove that you are loitering. And we have had 100% success and they have not been able to prove any of the cases. And now we are going to sue them for unlawful arrest.
In a decriminalization setting, which is what we are calling for, both parties will be protected.
In legalization, we are talking about officially acknowledging existence of sex workers and making them pay tax and making them have a record of some sort, which to us will be very problematic.
In February 2012, the then city mayor George Aladwa found himself in a bind when he was first reported to have said that he would legalize sex work, only to recant his statement hours later following sharp criticism from members of the public.
We should find a long-term solution.
KTN sought the views of top county official Christopher Hayamba, but he refused to comment on the matter, saying that the city council will give a comprehensive statement in a week's time. So what we did instead was go out to the streets and ask Kenyans what they feel about decriminalization of prostitution.
We just like living in pretense that it doesn't exist while it does exist. If that law is removed, yeah, then they introduce taxes for that particular business. We are going to generate a lot of income out of that.
As a Christian, I don't think prostitution should be legal.
If you want money and you are getting customers, that means there is a situation of a willing seller and willing buyer. So it should not be removed. The only thing that should be there is that because it is a trade, the prostitute should be paying tax.
If you hear a letter M, a man, men, they are working everywhere. Priest, whoever. We have so many of them. From the government, from churches. Some could come and remove their papers, put it on the table. They could give you a phone to receive.
Let us remove the speck in our own eyes before we remove the speck in someone else's, and not claim that sex work is an immoral thing. There is transactional sex, which exists in very many different levels. We know very well that people exchange sexual favors and gifts for other sexual favors and gifts. And it exists in very many different levels, but people still do not want to talk about it. That, in essence, is sex work. What sex workers are coming out to say is that if that is existing, then why are we treated as criminals?
We should standardize these bylaws, and the ones that are not in line with the Constitution really have to go.
Stakeholders are planning to sit down with government officials and discuss possible policies on the matter. But just as was seen during the constitutional referendum campaigns, matters touching on morality have often proved to be hot potatoes in Kenya, and few politicians ever want to be involved. Catherine Omwanto, KTN.